literally sold into slavery. However, Joseph had a particular thing, if you will, about him. Joseph, through all that he had gone through, maintained an uplifted consciousness and a positive outlook on his future. And we just read the end, if you will. Question is, are there any lessons in this for us? Have any of us, or are any of us presently, experiencing some things that are negative and that are bad and that are challenging and seem to be overwhelming? Are any of us right now confronted with challenges and in a space that we're trying to figure out how we got there and how we're going to get out of there? Are any of us faced with things that we're trying to overcome and been trying to overcome for a while, and we're about ready to give up? The lesson, my friends, is don't give up. Specifically, the prosperity principle that Joseph used to become the second most powerful and wealthy man in all of the greatest civilization at that time in the world. The prosperity principle that he used was the imagination. He was known as a dreamer because he was able to interpret dreams. As a matter of fact, as a young child, his brothers were jealous of him because he was the favorite of his father Jacob. And they had their fill when he said to them, I had a dream. And this dream said that you were going to come to me and you were going to bow down to me. And his brother said to himself, no, that ain't never going to happen. He was the youngest one. And they said, no, we ain't going to bow down to you. No. So, got together and they sold him. And the father said, where's Joseph? I don't know. I haven't seen him. The idea, my friend, is that sometimes people will do things to us. Sometimes people will say things to us. Sometimes it'll seem like the universe, the world is against us. The idea is to do what Joseph did, to see beyond that which exists, to see beyond that which appears to be, to see beyond that which everybody else is talking about. Lift up your eyes. What did Jesus do? Jesus fed 5,000 with what? With that which seemed like nothing. He had 2 fish and 5 loaves. But what did he do? He lifted his consciousness. Scripture says he lifted his eyes up. But he wasn't looking to heaven. He lifted his consciousness away from that which appeared to be. What did Joseph do? Joseph was in jail, literally in jail, for years, a couple years. During one period of his life, actually twice his life, in jail. But he didn't see himself being in jail. He saw himself being free. He saw in his mind's eye himself being free. The question is, where do we see ourselves in our mind's eye? Understand that someone can limit where you go and what you do, but they cannot limit what you think about, what you visualize, what you dream about, what you aspire to do or to have. Only you can limit yourself in that regard. The idea is, and I can imagine Joseph doing this, imagining and seeing himself in a better position. Now, another thing about Joseph is that he was sold into slavery. Okay, he was taken to Egypt. Egypt was, as I said, the great civilization at that time, a very prosperous civilization. So Joseph, in essence, was taken from a space that wasn't as prosperous as Egypt, taken to Egypt, where he could see with his physical eyes prosperity all around him. Now, it wasn't his at that time, but he was in the midst of it. He saw it. He saw people living it and doing it and having it. So guess what? That became a part of his consciousness. Are you with me? Okay. It became a part of his consciousness, making it easier for him to visualize himself having it because he saw other people having it and doing it. You know what they say, someone can tell a lot about you by looking at your 5 closest friends, who you associate yourself with. So the question is, do you associate yourself with people who are prosperous and healthy and have an uplifted consciousness, uplifted frame of mind? Or do you associate yourself with other people? Joseph saw around him prosperity and lavish abundance. And as a result, he was able to picture and demonstrate him and experience in his own consciousness, him having that type of abundance. Question is, when we envision the life that we want to live, is it a blur? Is it vague? Is it indefinite? Or is it clear, sharp, and precise? That's the question. Because if we use the faculty, the spiritual faculty that Joseph did, which is the imagination, then we are to use it so that we see in our mind's eye clearly. We are to see the good that we desire, see it clearly in our mind's eye. And it may seem like you're daydreaming, but guess what? You're not. You're laying a foundation. You are planting a seed in your consciousness of the good that you desire, of the good that you want to experience and manifest in your life, world, and affairs. I was reading the newspaper the other day, and it was actually Friday, this past Friday. So I was flipping through the newspaper, and I see Srills down, and you're familiar with this column or whatever. And it's in there just about every day, called Flash. And it's sort of headline, Dream Come True. Oh, it's interesting. And it says, subheadline, joining Britney's tour fulfills what Joe Jonas only imagined as a child. So Joe and the Jonas Brothers, you know them, he is now a part of a tour with Britney Spears. And then there's a quote from him. It's a dream come true, he says, in People magazine. She was the first girl I ever had a poster on my wall of. And her album was the first CD I ever bought. It's so funny to think I had that on my wall, and here I am about to perform with her. You get the idea? Yeah. It's not funny. He had a poster of her on his wall. He looked at that poster every day. I can imagine that he imagined himself performing with her. I can imagine that he imagined himself being with her and her talking to him. I can imagine that he used his imagination without realizing that that's what he was doing, but he used his imagination, and now he doesn't even realize he's only 21, so you know, he's still young, but he says, it seems funny that I had her on my poster, and now here she is standing 2 feet away from me. Here I am performing for her and with her. My friends, we're talking about using the power of your imagination.